The majority of the 150 veterans I've interviewed, especially from the era of the 60s and 70s, tell me just that. I was told in 1966 never to discuss this, and I took that seriously. Some of those people were threatened with legal action. They had to sign what are called national security non-disclosure statements, which stipulated if you reported a UFO incident at a missile site and then talked about it, you would be subject up to 10 years in jail and a $10,000 fine. And so even into, the last decade after the year 2000, well into the 21st century, some of these guys were still worried that the FBI would come knock on their door and, or their retirement pay would be docked or whatever. That's never happened. I think the Air Force understands that if these veterans are courageous enough to talk to me and go on, CNN's live stream my press conference, if they're willing to do that, if some government agency suddenly harasses these guys, they're likely just to go to people like you, to the media, and say, I was involved in this incident. I decided the public needed to know about it, so now I'm talking about it, and the FBI showed up. So, they don't want to deal with that. It's ongoing, it's continuous. I have tried, since I have so many veterans from the Cold War era, I'm trying to find veterans who are now in their late 20s who've separated from the service, who were involved in incidents at, for example, Area 2, which is the now closed nuclear weapons storage area at Nellis Air Force Base. I know of UFO reports there from veterans who, again, are in their late 20s, early 30s, who are talking about incidents that happened in the 2005 timeframe. So I'm continually looking for updated reports. I won't talk to active duty servicemen. I don't want to create problems for them. But anyone who's a veteran who knows of something that's gone on in the last year or 5 years, I'm very interested in hearing it. We've downsized our nuclear weapons arsenal certainly over the last 20 years after the end of the Cold War. The question is, why did we do it? Are people from the US and the Russian governments getting together and saying, we both know, even though we can't tell our citizens, that someone's trying to tamper with our nukes? Are they sending us a message? Should we be downsizing? We don't know if that's gone on, or if it's just a question that finally, after these ridiculously high numbers of nukes over the last 50 years that we've had in our possession, whether someone is finally starting to come to their senses and saying, we need to start downsizing. Who knows? I mean, those are the kinds of secrets that if I live to be 100, I'll never know, you'll never know. But someone's talking to someone in the Pentagon and CIA and in the Kremlin. They know this is going on. They know it's very real. They have to deal with it. It's not a fantasy. So presumably there are some intelligent people who are tuned in to what's going on and hopefully taking appropriate actions. Well, we know from the Big Sur case, which is mentioned both in my book and in my film, in September of '64, there was a series of test launches from Vandenberg Air Force Base, California. 2 officers, Robert Jacobs and Florence Mansman, who were involved in all of that, have publicly said that they were filming this one missile test. They saw a dummy nuclear warhead separating from its rocket booster and flying out over the Pacific. Suddenly, this domed disc, an object with a dome, came in to frame, circled the warhead, which was flying about 8,000 or 10,000 miles an hour, shot 4 beams of light at it, whereupon the dummy warhead fell into the Pacific Ocean and the UFO left the vicinity. That would suggest they have the capability, the UFO pilots, the capability of shooting down missiles in flight. The question is, if we launch 1,000 missiles and the Russians launch 1,000 missiles, can they cope with that size situation? We don't know.